Drum roll, please.
Dun, 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 dun.
We are live. eCourse Adventures Live, that is.
Welcome, everybody,
Hello.
to episode, are we like 8?
Nine.
Whoa,
Number
I can't even keep
9.
track. Here we are on lovely Salt Spring Island, British Columbia, here in the studio of eCourse Adventures. And we're coming live to you. We've got a special show lined up. We've got Jonathan Stewart all the way from the UK. I guess it's close to evening time there.
I think it's getting pretty late over
Having
there.
some breakfast or some nice sleepy time tea.
That's right, but not
That's
too
what they
sleepy
do, not
because
too
we got a
sleepy.
show
We
to
got
do
an
here
interview.
today.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking about Jonathan's online guitar school that he's building right now. Jonathan is a guitar teacher who typically works one-to-one, and he's building an online guitar school that helps people use deep learning practices to learn quicker and have more fun in the learning process. And we might even do a little bit of a guitar demo today with me, because God
could use
knows
it.
I need some help.
All after this. Oh, that didn't work. We got some nice blueberries. It's blueberry season.
Happy
so-
blueberry season, everybody. I hope you're getting your blueberry fix as well.
Mhm. Oh, I just got a bit of grass.
And I
They're fresh.
actually, proud to say, I quit coffee last week, 6 days ago without coffee, and right now I'm drinking dandelion root tea with some other herbs in it and some coconut milk, and it's actually really freaking good. It kind of tastes coffee-ish, except it's better for my liver, so that's nice. Yeah, I actually, I'm feeling pretty darn good about it. Normally I would wake up in my 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning time to go play golf, and I'd have a cup of coffee first thing, and now I'm just drinking lemon water when I get up, doing my stretches, going and playing, and drinking green juice when I get home, like cucumbers and celery and turmeric, and it is awesome. We call it rainbow juice when we make it because it turns into a swirly rainbow as we're doing the juice. That's the beautiful time of this abundant part of the year when all of the fruits and veg are in full production. It's just absolutely marvelous. So that's my story. I mean, I've got other stories too, which we'll get into, but how you doing, Blair Dini?
Well, doing pretty good. It's been a long week.
Be honest.
It's true. It's true. We're upgrading and moving over to Mighty Networks, the great eCourse adventure. And if anyone's been up on the mountain with our what we call the course, it really is a mountain to move. It's 92 lessons. It's no light task by any stretch of the imagination to build or to move at this point. And my task recently has been to upgrade the workbook, and not just a light upgrade either. We've gone through, we've revamped it. You went through, changed a bunch of the copy, upgraded that.
That's the third time I've upgraded it in 2.5 years. Like gone through the full 100 and something pages of workbook and redone. So
yeah, and then I'm creating the interactive workbook PDF version of it, and I'm averaging maybe about 3 lessons an hour out of 92. So it's got me doing something I don't truly love, and it really feels like slogging through the swamp, which is kind of a nice little segue eventually into the video we might show you if we have time later with how did you do that segment,
where we'll take you into Validation Swamp and meet Gil, the swamp monster.
Yeah, so and working with an animator, and that was kind of a nice experience.
Yeah.
And so that kind of gets us into the conversation that we've been having is, when do we let go of the work that we don't like and try to find someone to do it? And it's been challenging for me because to let go of work that I know I can do really well but don't necessarily like and possibly hand it off to someone that might not do it as well. It's been challenging for me.
It's been challenging for me to watch him come into the office and be like,
Hey, Brad.
hey. And I'm like, oh, hey, Eeyore, how you doing? I'm like, you ready to pass off that workbook yet? We can try and hire somebody. No, I'll get through it. So, and this is the thing. We were talking about it earlier. We go down to our local market called Earth Candy on Tuesday mornings, and we hang out, and there's lots of kids playing, and there's lots of farm fresh food, and Blair was playing music, and we were just hanging out there this morning and talking about like the idea of a great eCourse adventure, like what we have created, where we have really taken the time to make every single aspect of the experience great. So now we're upgrading this workbook, and it is going to be freaking phenomenal. Somebody could essentially go through the whole course without ever looking at a video and get all of the exercises and go from start to finish of creating, curriculumizing, experiencizing, marketing, selling, launching their course, all just through the workbook, and it's going to look super beautiful. I don't know if you can show a sneak peek of what you've got.
Oh yeah, maybe I can. I'll
stall for you.
Bring it up. We'll talk about something else, and we'll eventually get to it.
But basically, it takes a lot of work. Like every single detail, like the videos take a lot of work. The workbook takes a lot of work. Uploading the curriculum to the actual new platform takes a lot of work. Setting up the autoresponders, like all of these steps require a lot of work, especially if we want to do them well for the people that are going to be going through them. And that's our whole motto, is put in the extra time and make it something that's super special and memorable for the people who you're going to charge money to go through your course. And it can be a slog. Like right now I'm going through this Facebook ads course, which for me is a slog. Like I don't enjoy that. I'm also setting up all of our new accounting systems. I just signed with a new accounting firm yesterday. And if you're in Canada, check them out. They're in Victoria, BC. They're called Avalon, and they're an accounting firm. And they're basically going to be doing all of our books for us, our corporate year end, our filing, our GST. When we get to payroll, they'll do all the payroll. I mean, I am so excited about these guys. I told them when I was meeting with their team yesterday, I was like, this feels like Christmas for me. Like to be able to just pass off all of this. I've been doing my own spreadsheets for years and years, and it's never become something I enjoy. So it definitely, it's really exciting. So check them out. Ask for Joe. Tell them Brad at eCourse Adventure sent you, and that's Avalon. So while Blair is looking for the workbook, I also had a conversation with the CEO of Mighty Networks yesterday. Mighty Networks is who we're switching over to with our platform, because it allows a streamlined course building experience for non-techies like myself. It also allows us to build incredible communities, private groups, and there's a lot of amazing features that are on it. And I just got wind that the badge feature will not be ready when we go live. And so that was at first, like when I got the email and set up the meeting, I was really bummed about that, because a big part of the great eCourse adventure is the gamification. But for me, I took a step back and I was like, okay, well, what is the opportunity at hand here? And the opportunity is we get to think outside of the box, and we get to come up with more creative ways to create a game-like experience for all of you who are going to be going up the mountain, and all future generations who will be going up the mountain. How do we gamify a course without badges or currency? And you know what? You don't need badges or currency to gamify it, and we're going to prove that when we go live in September with the new platform. And so that'll be one of the meetings Blair and I have this week, is what do we want to do to create that gamified experience that even above and beyond a badge or some currency points that you earn by taking action in the course, how do we make it even more game-like? And maybe you have some suggestions. Maybe you've seen some things done, or you've participated in some of our challenges and you think we should continue on with something.
Yeah, and that's a nice reminder to let you know that if you're watching this live, we do have a live chat. So if you're watching it, you'll be on our YouTube channel. And you just go into our chat right beside the screen and ask away any of your questions. We'll keep an eye on that, try to answer your questions as we go. And yeah, I mean, to be able to create a course that's what we call gamified doesn't necessarily have to use the games that we tend to think of right off the bat and the go-tos. It's really just a way to create engagement so that our students feel like it's interactive. It's something that's actually going on, and it's worth putting the time and effort into their course. And it's going to be fun to, almost recreate the wheel. Yeah. At this point.
And that's the name of the game is for us, it's about being experimental with our approach. Everything we do is an experiment. And we listen to your feedback. And so the more vocal all of you are with our little experiments and the things we do, like this show, we had no idea what this show was going to be, the better it is for everybody. And the same goes for the people that are going to go through your courses. You want to have them be vocal, and it's really valuable as a creator to receive that feedback from the people that are experiencing your creations.
So I'm going to show the workbook, just a little sneak peek of that. So we'll go in here, see if this is actually going to work.
Ta-da! Your leather-bound eCourse adventure book.
Don't worry, it's no animals were harmed in the making of this leather-looking cover. Oops. There we go. Whoa. Settle down there. Hey. Hey. Okay, I'm looking at the big screen. There we go.
There we go.
So this is our workbook in progress. We're keeping it themified, so it's like a log book going up the course or up the side of our adventure mountain to launch summit. So as you can see, we've kind of kept the theme along the line of, we've got like a ripped paper heading here with some of our graphics. The fonts are a little adventure-y, and some script-like fonts too, like we're writing in the journal. And then these, when you're going through, you'll actually have your action steps and be able to literally check these boxes off. When you get your copy, you'll be able to check these off, and when you save at the end of your session, these will be saved, and so you'll be able to remember where you have been in your process.
And maybe you'll like check 3 out of 5 off for any given step, and you can always go back to your workbook and see, oh yeah, like there was a few like bonus resources that I wanted to check out months ago I haven't done, and you could just go through and find those.
Yeah. And so what's great too is we are putting your journal right into the workbook. So you don't have to have a separate one like we've been using Evernote in the past, and you have to open that up. This is going to be right into your journal. So we have our journaling exercises, and as anyone that's been on the mountain knows, that's a big part of creating an e-course. Yeah. It's about getting clear on what you're actually creating, so therefore you can focus all that creative energy like an arrow to penetrate the market and really get through to the people that you want. So,
and it takes a lot of journaling and talking out loud, which is the value of the progress log in the community. When you update your progress log, even if you're stuck, just in the process of writing about how stuck you are, you unstuck yourself. Yeah. Whereas if we just stay in the mind, we stay stuck. We need to be journaling and writing and getting those thoughts down on paper so they're out of our head and our mind can think up the next steps. Like, that's the way it works. We can only hold so much in here, and the act of putting it down on paper is really powerful, or in this case, in your adventure journal.
So this is going to be an amazing resource for anyone going up the mountain creating their e-courses, being able to get all that stuff in your mind down onto digital paper and be able to go back, review, and that's the name of the game. So it's pretty much, again, over and over as the lessons progress.
Looks really nice.
You've got your steps. There's different, we've got different things going on. This is an introduction template. So this is introducing you into our, what we call the campfire, which is the online forum/community. So introducing yourself there, and it keeps going, and it keeps going, and it keeps going, and it keeps going.
I love that you how you've done the banner
going, images. And it keeps going.
It just keeps going. I mean, this alone should be sold in bookstores in full color, because it's going to be such a beautiful resource for all of you to plan your courses and develop all of your content and curriculum and copy and all the C's.
Yeah, and so I'm 83 pages in, and I'm only at number 6.
Yeah.
Checkpoint 6 out of 13. So I'm about halfway. We're probably going to get close to 200-page workbook that we will be. I mean, we've been talking about offering this guy. I mean, when you sign up for the 14-day trial,
you just download it right away.
You download it, and it's going to be our free gift to everybody to create better e-courses, because that's what we believe in, getting everybody access to creating better e-courses. So if you're listening right now, come sign up for our 14-day trial.
Get the great eCourseadventure.com.
Get this workbook. Well, not quite yet. Maybe soon. It's coming around the corner.
Yep.
And you'll get this workbook. I mean, you'll at least get the other workbook that's not quite updated yet, but it's there.
Yeah.
And you'll be, even just if you went through this workbook alone, you're going to create a much better e-course.
Totally.
Just with all the questions, the steps, going through it. And
once we get launched in September, one of the next courses we're building is Workbook Heroes, where we're going to show you exactly how to create beautiful, themified, interactive workbooks just like this.
Yeah, and it's not going to be nearly as large as the Great eCourse Adventure. Thank goodness.
Yeah, and that's the point we want to make, is start with mini courses. Folks out there, don't make a behemoth like we did. I mean, we lucked out, honestly. Like, with what we created, so much, we got very lucky. We had time, and we had just enough money to do what we've done, and it's all for you out there. But apply the principles that we live by here at eCourse Adventures to your own courses, and start with small ones, because eventually, if you create enough mini courses, you're going to have a beautiful membership site where you can charge a monthly income. And I really feel like, there's that Kevin Kelly article on the internet called 1,000 True Fans. If you haven't read this, read it. 1,000 True Fans, where the idea is, in order to, as an artist or creator, all we really need to build a sustainable income in our lives that allow us to live extremely comfortable is 1,000 true fans, 1,000 people.
That's such a small number when you think of there's 7 billion people.
Yeah, we can all find 1,000 people that need what we have, who will buy everything we want. And the idea is all you need is 1,000 people to spend on average $100 a year on your creations, and you're making $120,000 a year, which the majority of us can live pretty comfortably and creatively with that.
I know I could.
Yeah, exactly.
So hey, that's one of the things I like about, also there's that with crowdfunding and how that's evolving. One of the models out there that I really appreciate is Patreon, and that's also, as a musician and an artist, that was one of the platforms that I've been quite attracted to. And that's the same idea. If you can find 1,000 people that might give $5 a month for your creations, that's adding up. That's 5 G's in the bank every month to do what you're doing, and that's more money than I've ever experienced. Like $5,000 a month would be amazing, as a creative, and that's why I continue to just kind of slog through the trenches and get this done, because I want to get to that point of my creative world and life to be able to do those types of things. So 1,000 people, that's not hard to do.
It's not that hard. I mean, for us, with 1,000 people in the Great eCourse Adventure, that's $35,000 a month of income. That's not too shabby.
Yeah, we're still working at it.
Yeah, and we're having some serious discussions about our entire business model again, which is a healthy conversation. And I have a little bit of a crazy idea that I ran by Blair and our new assistant Paige.
But it's a secret.
We're going to keep it a secret until the idea is percolated enough that I could communicate it in a way and pitch all of you on this crazy idea.
But it's amazing.
Maybe. Or maybe it's crazy and maybe it'll sink the ship. Or maybe...
But most ideas through history that has really revolutionized the world were crazy.
Yeah.
So I think we're sitting on one of those, and we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah. So find out soon.
So we were chatting about making our e-courses small, bite-sized, digestible for both you and your students, and therefore having a really amazing membership site that people can come on and start offering you a monthly subscription to do what you do. And that's something we've been discussing actually with Jonathan.
Yep.
And that's something he's going through right now is kind of figuring that out. So this might be a good time to bring him on.
All right. Jonathan,
are you there?
Jonathan Stewart. Hello, sir.
Hello. Ah, there we go.
Thanks for bringing us into your studio.
That's all right. My pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
Now, where in the UK are you right now?
I'm in kind of mid-Devon, so kind of like Exeter, Tiverton area. Quite a long way from you guys, but
It's a little ways, but one of these days, hopefully we get to hang out in person and jam.
that would be awesome.
Yeah,
Cool.
that's quite the studio setup you've got there.
Thank you.
All the nice toys. That's something I can appreciate.
Yeah, it's taken a long time, and actually, that's not my toy. That's my wife's, which kind of sucks, but
Hopefully she lets you use it.
Yeah.
it does.
Yeah. Well, thanks very much for coming on the show. This is a pivot that we're wanting to make with these eCourse Adventures live shows, where instead of bringing in outside influencers in e-learning and that, which we'll probably still do from time to time, we actually want to start putting the spotlight on all of you, the people who are brilliant teachers from around the world who are bringing your passions to light by turning them into transformational, engaging courses. And, you know, we want to get in the trenches with you and hear about what you're excited to be creating and how we can best support that. And for you to share your passion with the rest of us so that all of us can have our passions ignited even more. So why don't you just start with a little bit around your love for music, and where was that sparked in your life?
I think I've always kind of had this crazy feeling with music. It was always something that kept me going whenever things were a little bit difficult, a little bit hard for me. I just always loved picking up a guitar. When I was like 3, there was a little plastic guitar. And I remember playing that, and I haven't stopped, basically. I just haven't stopped, and I've done, playing for years, and I just love singing, playing, writing, all of it. And everything about my life is revolving around music. And
Which is a dream for many.
Yeah.
To be able to sustain such a lifestyle. What have you used up to this point to sustain that? What kind of models for income and that sort of stuff?
Mainly, my main source of income is kind of one-to-one tuition, and in like primary schools. Before that, I used to write music for small indie game studios. Worked with the RPG Maker engine for a while, created resources for them, and apart from that, that's music-wise, that's pretty much what I did to keep it going.
Cool.
As it will.
I'm just curious because we're also into licensing our work. I'm curious how you got into, licensing your music to these different studios.
Well, it was quite a while ago when they first started to bring in outside musicians to start creating like small resource packs for developers who couldn't afford to pay the $99 for a track. And they put out a post on a forum and said, hey, is there any, content creators wanting to earn a bit of extra revenue? And I had just left my job as a carer with 2 very small young children. And I was like, I like writing music. Why not give it a go? So I threw them an email, sent them a few little sci-fi things that I created, and they were like, yeah, I like that. And it's still selling now, 4 years later.
Awesome. Right on. That's really cool.
That is very cool. Reminds me of the meditation stuff that we've done, that it's so cool as media artists that we can create these assets that just live on and can be used on multiple platforms and generate revenue that way.
Yeah, and that on top of that, I did private commissions as well for a few small projects.
Yeah.
And actually, what a lot of my clients became my closest friends as well.
Nice.
That's always nice. I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah.
people. When I first became an entrepreneur, I heard a lot of people say, you know, don't mix friendship and business. I think the opposite now. Like, my greatest relationships are business relationships where we're all collaborating and working together for a common goal.
Yeah, definitely. Almost a lot of the artwork that I use on my website now is from one of my clients who we ended up teaming up and like started building a game together, and then kind of both of us got busy, so we stopped for a bit. But,
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
No, I'm curious about, you talk about deep practice and how you incorporate deep practice into how you teach so people can learn quicker and more effectively the techniques that you're teaching. I'm just wondering, what is deep practice and where did you learn it and how's that work?
So the idea is it's about adding desirable difficulty and making things a little bit harder for yourself so that you can actually progress further. Because often the fear is you get to a certain level and you're still practicing at this level and expect to be here. And you're not. So the idea is that bringing it up here into the middle, so that once you get to this stage or nearly at this stage, you bring it up a little bit more and then you pull yourself up again. Bring a little bit more, pull yourself up, and so on and so on. I found it from a guy in America called Greg Goodhart, I think it is. Never said his name out loud. But and he has an entire website talking about how you can almost break the talent code. So there are so many musicians you see online, they're like 4 years old playing guitar at 3 times the speed that you could ever dream of. And they go, and you look at, for me, and for many musicians who are quite self-conscious, and it's such a demanding thing to be a musician because you're always striving to be better. And you look at a 3-year-old playing, a hugely complex piece straight away, and you're just like, right, dude, there's no point anymore. It's just, I'm not good enough anymore. Why should I even try anymore? And the idea behind kind of those practice techniques is that you add a layer of difficulty, and there's lots of studies going around. There's books called The Talent Code, which I've read. I think it's Daniel Cole off the top of my head. And another book, which is what I've been reading a lot now, which is Make It Stick, which is fascinating. And it's the science of successful learning, where instead of when you practice, you cram and try and like when you're learning something new, you just play the same thing over and over and over again and hoping it's going to stick. It will eventually, but it takes such a long time. And the idea is that using techniques, adding difficulty. So say, for example, you're playing a scale, which is a group of like 7 notes. And then instead of going just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you'd go 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 6, 5, 6, 7. And that idea makes, even just saying it out loud, makes your brain go, right, okay, I need to think harder for that. And the idea behind the desirable difficulty is like, I love the way that Greg puts it. It's like when you go to the gym, you work out and you lift weights and it's uncomfortable. You feel discomfort, you feel the burn. And the way that Greg described it is feeling the blur, so the burn of learning. And since I discovered that, I went a bit absolutely crazy and thinking, how can I bring that into my teaching? How can I help students not only just show them that talent is not just there automatically. You can build it and you can develop your talent, and you can become more talented just by working in a better way and in a more efficient way of learning and practicing. And instead of spending 3, 4, 5, 6 hours playing the same scales in 3, 4, 5, all 12 different keys, you can take one small section and play that really, really well. And then that will then develop further and further, and you build out from this one small section, and you can learn to play anything, stuff that you wouldn't imagine you could play. If you have the time and if you have the patience, you can do it. You don't even need time. Whereas before, when I used to try and learn something, it took me 3 to 6 months to just learn something, juggling around children and, you know, and running a business.
Yeah.
It took me ages to find the time to sit down and actually play the damn instrument. And it was like, okay, so I crammed for like 3 hours because the kids have gone to bed early. My wife's out with friends. I'll cram and cram and cram. And then I don't continue for the next month. And then I come back again.
Burn yourself out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
so
the
that's
idea-
amazing. Like, it's obviously you're tapping into something really special. Have you been applying this on your trek up the mountain and
Yes.
building the eCourse?
Yes, because everything, I love how you touched on that. Everything that I use in music is actually used everywhere else. And like everything you do, if you add a little bit of difficulty to what you're doing and make it a little bit harder for yourself, you'll realize actually it's getting easier. And what's interesting is once you start using these techniques and you do it regularly, which is the important thing, you start doing it without realizing. I've been editing videos recently to update the blog post that I wrote as part of the challenge. And I noticed all of a sudden how much quicker I was able to speed up part of the video. And it was like, because I had cut it up so small and divided up and spent so much time just practicing speeding up a little bit and then getting the right, and it just clicks. And then you work at it and it hurts. And then all of a sudden it clicks.
Yeah.
And you just go, so that's how that works. Okay, cool. Now that's when people stop. The best thing to improve is to go further, go higher, make it harder. And then you keep improving, because you can get to about 80% on your skill level. And that final little tiny bit is really hard.
It sounds pretty much like our progress of creating the Great eCourse Adventure.
Yeah, it was.
Without even knowing.
Yeah, it was way harder, but it was so worth it.
Just kept pushing the bar.
Yeah.
Kept pushing the bar.
Yeah.
Little chunks though, right? Little chunks, just a checkpoint at a time.
Yeah, and that's how I've been managing it. And to go through this eCourse, I have a lot of people I've seen dedicate like three hours a day every day. And I just sit there going, yeah, but will you do those 3 hours every day, 7 days a week? And I was there like, I know that one day I'm not going to be able to do those 3 hours. So I set it to an hour because I know I can give 1 hour a day. And it doesn't even have to be all in a row. It can be split up into 15-minute sections here and there.
Yeah.
And as long as I've done that hour a day, it doesn't matter.
You're
Like,
making
I've
progress.
progressed.
Nice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
And so
keeping
that's
it
how I've actually been doing the course.
That's
keeping
funny.
it reasonable, right?
That's how I've approached professional golf with myself, is that it's an everyday thing. I have to do something for my game every day, something for my body every day. And it's actually years and years ago when I picked up the guitar for the first time, and like, I don't come from a musical family whatsoever. And so I definitely came in with my own baggage around how my family doesn't have musical talents. And I just decided that 5 minutes a day is more valuable than 1 hour a week. That if I
Yes.
just do five, it's that every day, it's about creating that rhythm and that habit. And the more habitual we are with these things that we want to get better at, the better, rather than, as you said before, around like, used to do it where, you'd have this 3 hour chunk or 5 hour chunk and you go really hard, but then you would put it down for a month. And so there's not really any progress there.
It's just, and that for me was a game changer, because I was always one who kind of tried to do as much as possible. And there was a lot of pressure, like as a musician, to be always better. And there's so much competition in the industry. And it was, for me, it was quite, demoralizing. It's enough to make anyone feel like they're never going to get anywhere.
Yeah.
And then it was that permission to realize that actually talent, it doesn't really exist in the sense that we think it exists. Just because people can play something better than you at this current stage, that just means they've worked maybe harder or more likely smarter. And something that that Greg had said to me in the past, the only difference between me and my guitar idol is the amount of time. That's it.
Yeah.
And there's nothing else. There's no other difference. It's just the amount of time he spent actually working at it and progressing.
Yeah.
And the idea behind the whole membership, the site that I will eventually be building, is about realizing that, one, the mistakes you make are actually really, really important.
Yeah.
You need to screw up as much as possible, because then you've got more ways of figuring out how to get better.
Mm-hmm.
And where you're going wrong, and you need to learn something new, and so then you can find those resources and learn those new things, and it's just giving kind of like new players or players who've been playing for years the permission to screw up, make a mistake, and not give up, because guess what? Everyone makes the mistake.
Yeah. Now, I guess... Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but this is a timely interruption. When we're making art, the goal is to make something beautiful. And as we're learning, we're making something ugly because we don't know how to do it. And so, like, what is... When you're in that process of making ugly music on your journey of making beautiful music, like what is your go-to mantra as you start getting frustrated, or like you feel like you're not getting it? Like, because it's going to be the same, like for people out there trying to make e-courses, like the way we make e-courses, your first green screen videos are going to suck. You're going to be transparent. The lighting's going to be off. The sound effects are going to be terrible. Like, you're not going to piece it together well. And so I'm just curious, like, how do you approach that distance between making ugly art and making beautiful art, and that journey that you have to take in order to get to the beautiful stuff?
That's a good question.
Oh, that's a brilliant question. The way I kind of see it, especially when it comes to making those mistakes and making ugly, like, music, is kind of like when you're driving a car, for example, and you're driving along, and you want to get down to this beautiful river, and there's a sign saying to you, road closed, or, cliff edge. Now, if you want to get there faster, you could take a shortcut, which would be right over the cliff edge. That's not going to work. Well, it might do, but you'll be in a lot of pain. The alternative is also to just stop and not try, which is something that a lot of musicians, I think, do. And so for me, whenever I hit those barriers and I hit those bits where I'm frustrated, I kind of think, okay, there's a sign there. There's something that I'm missing. So how do I fix it? It's always about, is there another road? Is there someone I can ask? Can I find someone to talk to who knows more than I do? Because that's always going to happen. There's always someone who knows more, and they're always available if you look and try to find it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the idea of taking, going back to the car analogy, so you reverse, you kind of go behind and you look around, and there's a guy there who looks like he's been there for years, and you go, oh yeah, how do you get down to that river? If you go back a little bit and you take a right, it's a really bumpy road, it's kind of a bit rough, but if you go down there, you will get there. And it's like the idea, sometimes you've got to go back to go forward. And so you can take this route, and it's really bumpy, and along the way there's no signs, so you're always worried about, am I actually going the right way here?
It makes me think of when I'm driving down somewhere that's not well signed, and I start getting that feeling that I've gone the wrong way about 90% there. and I start to like consider turning around. And there's been times where I've turned around and it was literally like 1 minute away. And so I've learned, you know, just like keep going, keep going. I mean, there's been times where I did go the wrong way and I just keep going. And eventually you have to like, okay, it's getting dark, I better turn around. But yeah, I mean, that's a good analogy. And it, I just want to also, because like a lot of our listeners and viewers are not necessarily musicians, but eCourse creators. And the analogy is so applicable to creating any sort of art, whether music or just doing the eCourse, getting to the, you know, it makes me think of the Ottomatora River. Have you been to the Ottomatora River yet?
I haven't yet. No.
Oh, okay. Well, you'll get there.
Yeah, and we'll get to the edge of the river, and we're like, how do you get across the river? And then we see a guy just down the river like, hey, how do you get across the river? He's like, get across the river, man.
What do you mean get across the river? You gotta learn to go down the river and flow with the currents, man.
Yeah. You do his voice so well. That's good,
it's weird. I'm a good impressionist.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a really cool thing. Actually, whereabouts on the mountain are you?
Well, talking about going backwards, I had got 3/4 of the way through Architect Forest, and then my brain just went, "This is your first eCourse. This is what you're going to do." And then I went, "Okay." So now I've got to go back again.
Good. Yeah, nice. I wish more people actually would be humble enough to recognize that.
Yeah.
And that's a part of what Architect Forest and the fog is meant to do. It's to make sure that you are clear to move forward, because if you're not, man, it's going to be a hard, bumpy road.
I've seen so many people like kind of breeze through those exercises in Architect Forest, and they want to just like, I just want to launch my course now.
I just want to get in front of the video camera.
They don't have a clear vision. Yeah. And like, I mean, the 3/4 to 85% of the journey is just being clear on what you're here to do. And then once we're clear, I mean, writing a script is really easy when we're clear. Making sales copies really easy when we're clear. Setting up the storyboards and creating the theme, all those things just like magically fall into place when we actually know what we're going to do and how we want that to benefit the student on the other side.
With that said, how clear are you at this point? Whereabouts are you back? Are you getting back to Architect Forest? What are you creating?
Yeah, I am in Architect Forest now. I have just finished kind of like, I think I finished applying the transformation today. And I was reading through the transformation and kind of reworking, because a lot of what I'm building kind of flows from the same idea. So I was able to take what I'd already written and posted and think, well, how does this still apply? And taking it apart. And I'm very near I'm going to the next stage, to the refining everything down, which is probably the hardest part, is trying to get really specific, which is where I'm going to try to be as specific as possible.
Nice. And so what do you've got? What are you creating? I'm curious. Want to give us a little bit of the nitty gritty?
Yeah. So my plan is to create a course where you learn how to change between open chords. So that's your A minor, your G, the first chords, the fundamental chords you learn when you pick up a guitar. And it's about learning those chords and then learning how to almost slow down and focus on where your fingers are going. A lot of what you do when you're trying to change chords is everyone goes, oh, just keep playing the chords, just keep practicing over and over and over again, and eventually it will click, because muscle memory. And the idea between that is I'm fast tracking muscle memory. I'm taking you from a chord criminal to a chord hero.
So a chord criminal.
I know. Not the best title, but it was entertaining.
Oh, I love it. That's great. Yeah, that's classic.
So yeah, it's taking you kind of like, so you start with an A chord, an A major chord, for example.
Well, I got my little guitar here, and
so you start from an A minor.
All right.
This is the very first chord that I teach. Yeah, and then the idea is you're going to change from an A minor to a C, which I've shown you Yeah. And the idea is you start from that A minor and you think, where is my fingers going? Before you actually move your fingers, you visualize where your fingers are going. Now with an A minor, it's nice and simple. You know your ring finger or third finger is going down to the third fret.
Oh, you get, yeah, there you go. Perfect.
There we go. And so that is kind of like the basic idea between those two chords. And it's about going really slowly and about kind of taking the time to properly realize where your fingers are going. Now, for an A minor to a C, it's really quite easy because the change is just one finger.
Yeah.
And slowly you can speed up changing, but you must go incredibly slowly first. And it's the idea between trying and working with that. And another one which my students really struggle with is kind of going from a D to a chord like a C. So going to this chord again.
Yeah.
And I go D to a C. There is an awful lot more movement involved of going from a D.
Yeah, you're stumping my brain right now.
Did you remember the D chord? Because I know you showed me the D chord before.
Yeah, you got the D chord there, Brad?
It's quite good.
D
So what
chord?
you're doing now,
Which one's
so
the D?
before you even start changing, you think one finger at a time. So where is your index finger going? Where's that one going first? So that's going from here on the second fret
Yeah.
to the first fret of the B.
Okay.
So you're just practicing with that one finger to start off with.
Nice.
So starting with that one finger to start off with, going from the D, from that one finger, let me try and zoom in there, on its own,
Yeah.
to here on the B.
See, for me, I just got to start learning what each chord is called because I can play pretty decent, but it's naming the chords. But this, you're definitely stretching me here. So I like the learning one finger at a time. That's great.
Yeah. And so that idea is so that you get
Nice.
used to between the two different, like you learn where your fingers are going from the beginning.
Yeah, and the importance that I definitely recognize is, again, the clarity, when we've got these multiple facets, and again, bringing it back into eCourse territory, we've got all these things that we're just having to organize at the same time. It feels like there's so many pieces of this machine that have to move all together, just like a hand. But it's like, hey, stop and actually recognize your index finger needs to move from the second fret, third string, to the first fret, second string, and just get that clear. And then you start moving, okay, two fingers, right? And next thing you know, it's a mix between the left and right hemispheres. And that's one of the major things that we're really into is bringing the balance of both hemispheres into our work, because when we're logically understanding what we're doing, but also have the feeling and the intangible aspects all in alignment, man, we can go far.
I love you're going to be great at building e-courses because the way you're teaching is like each step builds upon the next, and that's what we're doing. Like an e-course is simply a pathway. We're taking people up a pathway to get to the launch summit. And for this, for this first course, it's going to be teaching people how to change chords fast. That's launch summit. Is like at the end of this, you're going to be confident in switching like, your A, D, C. Like here's the chords that you're going to be really quick at changing. I think that's great. And I think you're definitely on the right track with making these mini courses where you're teaching really specific skills and then just building a library. And when you get 8 courses launched, then open your membership site and then just start producing. Like, I think you're going to have a really fun and easy time producing mini courses because I can tell like you've done so many lessons with people with so many different ranges of skill that you have so much to draw from, which is awesome. And for all of you out there that you're not actually working with real humans on the topic that you're making e-courses for, like go find some clients to start experimenting with so that you can get some real world experience before launching a course.
Real experience, right? Because in our mind, we think we know what we're wanting to teach until we bring it to the table with a bunch of people, and then they'll start asking you some real questions that you never thought would come across.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I never thought of that.
Yeah.
Right. And those are the types of questions that we want to have like dialed in and answering in our e-courses. For sure. That's a big part, is having that experience.
Now, on the sake of Architect Force, one of the journaling exercises is, if your e-course was a human, what would its personality be described as? So I'm just curious, like you're building this guitar school, that's the bigger vision. What is the overall like vibe or personality or musical genre, so to speak, like the energetic frequency that you're putting out into the world for your guitar school?
What kind of musician would your school be?
That's a tricky one.
Yeah.
That's really hard. Yeah, I think it's someone who knows, who wants to continue improving. I'm not, the musician is not going to be someone who thinks they know everything. It's someone who's like, I'm wondering where to go now. I don't know where to move.
Yeah.
I need help moving. And it's someone who has that drive and the passion to keep learning more and experiment with different ideas, and someone who is willing to try really weird stuff that you wouldn't think would work, because the idea with the practice techniques, and not just in changing chords but in everything that I'm planning to teach, it doesn't feel like practice.
Yeah.
It really doesn't feel like practice.
That really to me, it sounds like pretty much the majority of people who've tried picking up the guitar, kind of like the living room guitarist.
Yeah.
And that's a good place to start, because when we start putting our entrepreneurial hats on and we start looking at what the market is, if you're looking at professional musicians to go that one notch further and refine, which is probably something that would be worthy of creating down the road, it's making sure that we're hitting a nice big target early, and letting that success carry us to the more refined, smaller targets down the road. And that's a beautiful thing about having a membership site, is because then once you start creating, maybe 5 years down the road, you've got all the success from the living room guitarist like Brad, and next thing you know, you'll be like, here, like let's get into some really refined work. I'm starting to like do the professional VIP section, or whatever, and make it kind of like, the superstar sort of professional level. Or vice versa, or for children, like there's all these different markets.
Yeah. Yeah. The fact that you've worked with children, I mean, that's an interesting possibility for you. It's a huge market. It would be a totally different brand that you would go with between that and like somebody like me, that I just want to learn to, write and play my own music and like be comfortable and like be able to learn to like jam with Blair, so that I feel confident doing that, because I can strum on my guitar by myself and make beautiful music. But when it comes to like interacting with other musicians, so I think like there's so many ways you can take it. For business models, have you heard of Warp Academy?
No.
I went to
that.
CEO school with this guy earlier this year, who's the founder of Warp Academy.
Vespers?
Nice.
Yeah,
they teach electronic music. So they teach like everyday folk how to make their own electronic music, so that they, similar to you, like you want to be comfortable to be able to play in front of your family and friends.
Yeah.
And they do that with electronic music.
It's a
Check
good
them
model.
out. They've got a great model going on.
Lots
They've
of good
experimented a lot. They've been around for 5 years. The company brings in about $400,000 a year in course sales.
Nice.
They're doing well. They've built great partnerships with the different electronic music, like tech companies. So they'd be somebody to check out. And my good friend Adam Dobres, who's a world-class musician, string musician as well, I would love to introduce you guys, because he's also building a guitar school in
nice.
his own way. And the two of you, I think, could have some beautiful conversation. So Adam just logged on. So hello, Adam out there in
Hey,
Watcherland. I'll connect you guys in an email after this,
Yeah,
so you
sounds
guys
good.
can
Yeah,
brainstorm and have a great conversation.
Here's
Here's
the
Warp Academy.
Warp Academy. Yeah, I'm actually a member of the Academy, so to speak, just learning some of the different courses that they've got. And it's a beautiful membership site in the back end. You can go, you have your courses. There's lots of really cool freebies as well, just by being on board, contests, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And a really nice, thriving community with a lot of real amazing benefits for being a member. So that's our commercial. They are not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor, but
Come
I'm sure
sponsor us.
I'm sure they'll be grateful for the shout out.
Yeah, totally.
I'll look into that, definitely.
Well, do you before we transition here, do you have any question marks that we could support you on in this moment, or the community could help you with? Because that's what we're definitely here for.
I think it's definitely kind of deciding on like the technology side of things, which is always the big one. Because I'm quite a techie guy and I build with WordPress really quickly and easily. And it's about thinking, do I like get someone to do it for me? I think it goes back to what Blair was saying before.
Yeah, totally.
About, do I go and hire someone else to do it for me when I know I could do it too, but I can't stand doing it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's about trying to and find, because there's obviously both my websites and the kind of website I'm using to start off the idea of it is called The Busy Musician. And so I built that on WordPress, but is there an LMS I should go with? Should I not? Should I use WordPress as just like the website and then build and go somewhere else for building a management system? What direction would you go in my shoes?
I do love The Busy Musician as a brand potential. I mean, that would be me for sure. Like, I've got 5 minutes I'm hanging out with my son and we're just going to pick up the guitar and play some music. If I could have some, guidance, The Busy Musician definitely like tells me that it's going to be short lessons that get to the point, they cut to the chase. They're going to teach me something, and then I can move on, apply that, and get on with my life and feel like I've progressed my musical abilities in some ways. So I think you're onto something with that brand. As far as the direction to go, if your design skills are lacking, which like most of us they are, there's some great platforms out there. I just came across one the other day called, let me just see, showit.co. It's a website building platform. Ash Ambridge, who's one of the few copywriting experts on the internet, she has a company called the Middle Finger Project, and she gave these guys a shout out last week. And they have beautiful templates. It's drag and drop. It looks super duper simple to use. I mean, you could build your public facing branded website using their website builder. Again, these guys are not sponsors. I haven't used them, but if Ash is giving them a shout out, that tells me that they're pretty damn good. And you can start a free trial, so you can start playing around. Their prices are really, really good, as you can see here, for like building your own website. And then they have like premium website templates and that sort of thing that you can check out. So I just found these guys this week. I haven't done any in-depth research with them, but I would suggest like find somebody in your area who wants to get better at guitar and see if you could do a guitar trade to get professional quality photos. You all need professional quality photos out there, everybody. Like, you don't want a selfie being your bio picture. So find somebody you can trade like some photography.
Unless
and
it's your eCourse, how to create professional looking selfies.
Yeah, exactly. Which those courses do exist out there. So if y'all don't have, like, go find a course on professional selfies. And you could do the same thing with a videographer. Like Blair and I did trades in the early days of our working relationship. And so you could find a videographer to just, so you can focus on curriculum design.
Yeah, Jonathan, that's what I would totally recommend is, even though I've been holding on to this workbook to slog through, I mean, the main reason that I don't hand it off is because we don't necessarily have someone at the moment that I find I can communicate easily for all the little knick-knacky things that I feel like would take me the same amount of time, or at least was. I didn't realize how much of a monster this really was. I thought I'd be done, but at the end of the week, and I'm only a third through. So now I'm starting to renegotiate the whole idea.
Yeah.
But the thing that I definitely recommend is finding someone local that you can communicate easily and their communication skills are available to you.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing worse with working with someone that's just hard to get a hold of. Like we worked with, a few artists in the past that they just, have difficulties communicating with us.
Yeah.
And keeping the regularity there. And so that's one thing I really appreciated working with Brad, and some of the other artists that we have had more success with. It's just they're there.
Yeah.
And big part is that they're local, so we can actually get together in person.
Yeah. I think, as far as to answer your question, get clear on the brand. What is the bigger vision? I mean, if you're doing the, what was it? The busy
musician. Yeah.
The busy musician. I mean, you might even want to change that to the busy guitarist. So it's like even more niche down.
Right. That sounds good.
The busy guitarist. And then really go through Architect Force with that in mind. I think that could be a winner of a brand if that .com is available.
Yeah, it would be easy enough to eventually upgrade to the busy musician as like an expansion of busy guitarist.
Yeah.
When you start bringing keys and banjos and stuff. That's
exactly.
Yeah.
I think as far as platforms go, you're building an online community. That's going to be the premise for everything you build. So I think Mighty Networks is going to be a great fit for you. And what you want to do. It's simple to make courses that look good and are branded well. And then for the public facing site, where your sales pages will exist, like something like Show It looks like it could be a really good fit that for a reasonable amount of money, less than $500, you can have a professional looking, beautiful branded website up.
That sounds pretty good.
And as a part of being on the show with us today, we're going to offer you an extra hour of coaching and masterminding so that we can really dig into, really help you get clear and rooted in your brand and the direction you're going to go so that you'll have that clarity to be able to just start producing e-courses.
Wow, thank you very much.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. It's been really fun to interview you today. And to just get this opportunity to converse, and for all of you out there watching, don't be surprised if you get a tap on the shoulder and we want to bring you on the show to talk about your journey up the mountain to Launch Summit.
And don't think it's just a bulk message send. Don't ever think that ever again. I learned that one the hard way.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. He thought it was just going to be like a little conversation here, but yeah, you're the star of the show, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're definitely looking forward to getting more of the adventurers on the mountain on the show, because we realize that's who we want to find out what's going on and just kind of have those conversations, because we're all everyone on the mountain is a professional in their own right.
Yeah.
Doing their stuff.
Yeah.
And we're stoked to be opening that up and learning from you guys actually, on the front lines, digging those trenches and then holding it down and building your courses. Yeah,
I feel like we just found our flow with where we want to take this show today by having you come on, be our guinea pig, and we want to, this is where we're going, folks, is we're going to be talking to the people that are building your dream courses. And so, Jonathan, thank you so much for coming on the show.
That's right. Yeah, thank you. It's kind of exactly why I stayed after the trial. What kept me from leaving was the fact that almost every time I put something on, you're there writing a reply.
We're real people.
Yeah, and it was nice to be part of a community of real people where it's not like the owners send out automated messages. They're real messages. They're you typing on at home and with your kid in your arm at the same time.
I put the baby to bed and I go to the community and I respond to messages in the community, and I this is what we do, and fortunately we just hired somebody so we can be more efficient in our community responses. And
Ranger Boss Lady
is making her rounds, folks, so don't be surprised. She's coming for you, and if you haven't been active, she's gonna get you, and she's gonna rail you back over.
Yeehaw.
Yeah. So I'll reach out. We'll set up a coaching session where we can mastermind your brand and help you take some next steps. And once you launch your course, we're going to bring it back on the show and we can talk about that.
Can't wait. Awesome. It's going to be awesome.
Thank you, man.
I know you've got a student right here for sure.
Yeah, I'm in.
Number one.
I need it.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Jonathan.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Well, that was fun. Well, I guess it's time to pivot. We've got 9 after the hour. There's been a couple questions which will...
Did you want to quickly just talk to those questions?
Yeah. So Adam asks, can we see some people who have successfully launched courses? Yes, next week. I believe our guests, I'm just waiting for confirmation, are people who have just launched a premium course with the great eCourse Adventure model. And we'll announce that when we actually get the confirmation. But yeah, we're gonna be mixing things up as we go. We've actually got a couple of our students who we're gonna be licensing their courses on the eCourse Adventures platform when we go live in September. And so when those go live, we'll also be interviewing those people to talk about their journey to Launch Summit and to showcase their courses and how those courses are way different and better than the others that might potentially be in that field of work. So yes, it's going to be a mix of people who are currently going up the mountain, not yet launched, and people who have launched. And as far as Adam's second question, it gets confusing regarding hosting your courses on Thinkific, Teachable, Udemy, etc. What's good, what's better? So we've got about 5 platforms that we recommend, and in the Great eCourse Adventure, we help you make a choice to the right one. The SaaS platforms, meaning if you're a non-techie, non-WordPresser, the recommendations would be Mighty Networks. Mighty Networks lets you build your own social network and online community, as well as courses within that community. That's who we're switching over to soon.
Yeah, that's the real strength that Mighty Networks has.
Yeah.
Community first, and then...
Yeah. Their idea is like building a community-driven brand. And there's a lot of reasons we could get into, which we will another time, on why we're switching to them. And then the other 2 SaaS platforms would be Podia and Thinkific. And Podia is great. You can do membership sites and you can do courses. If your courses are hosted somewhere else and you choose one of their premium plans, they will transfer your courses and do the upload for you to their platform. And Thinkific is another really simple to use course builder for all of you non-techies, and they've got lots of great templates to follow along with. And I would just suggest, like, if you're the non-techie type and you've got up to $100 a month to spend on your course platform, check out Mighty Networks, Thinkific, and Podia. Mighty Networks, their course building software is brand new. They're in beta with it, so there's still things that they're working out. And we're just going to patiently weather those storms as they come up, but we're quite impressed with what they've got so far. And then if you do love WordPress, Lifter LMS, we just recently interviewed Chris Badgett, who's the founder of Lifter LMS. He gave us a tour of what our themified courses look like inside of Lifter.
I like Chris. He's a nice guy.
Chris is awesome. He's an off-grid living techie, like, software company CEO.
He used to run dog sleds for a living.
For 10 years in Alaska.
Yeah.
So
how do you get into making...
And then now he has a software company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just what
life
dog sled guys do, I guess.
Yeah. And so Lifter LMS lets you do gamification. You can have, like, comments under the lessons. If you know WordPress, it's pretty darn easy, and you can create beautiful looking courses. So if you just search for... or just shoot us an email. But if you just search for episode 3 of eCourse Adventures live on our YouTube channel, you can find it there.
Yeah, we also go into more detail too in the Great eCourse Adventure as well, and it's also in our workbook. Just a little bit more of the benefits of a lot of these.
Yeah.
And I think it really comes down to they're all great.
Yeah.
Like, they're all great.
Yeah.
And there's just a little bit of a difference. Like, there's no necessarily perfect platform.
Yeah.
And just finding one that resonates with you, gives you what you need to do now, and just start going for it and just continue to create.
Totally. And if you have questions, just ask us in the community. We're happy to brainstorm with you and help you figure out your needs. But that's what the Great eCourse is ultimately for. And then the last series of platforms, and this is if you have a tech team or you're extremely tech literate, would be the route that we took with the Great eCourse Adventure originally, which is LearnDash mixed with MyCred for the bajillion credits. And Badge OS for all of our badges. Like there's a whole slew of different plugins that we used, which if you're not a techie, it's a pain in the ass and you'll never figure it out.
That's
no
why
offense.
we're not doing it
Yeah,
anymore.
that's why we're switching teams right now.
Yeah.
But it's pretty amazing what you can create if you do have a tech team, and we can get you all the information if that's the route you want to go. Now let's segue into the
How did you do that?
Section of the show. And this week, we're going to trudge through the swampy, smelly waters of Validation Swamp, the place where you have to actually take your eCourse idea and go out into the real world and get validation and even pre-sales. So we're going to show you how we merged the world of cartoon with the world of real life.
Yeah, actually, just before we jump in, when we talked about this, we felt like validating your ideas, like trudging through the swamp. It gets sticky, it gets hard. You know, you've been putting all this time in, and now it's time to actually validate your idea.
Yeah, most people want to stay in the basement and just like
Yeah.
tweak with your idea and just like let it.
I'll be fine.
I'm gonna just wait till it's perfect.
That's not that's not good business. It's not smart business.
So we talked about this idea of being in the swamp and how cool it'd be to have a swamp monster, and so we chatted about the ideas of creating that the way we've done it before with live characters and
Yeah.
and at this point we were conversing and having a lot of fun being creative with this man named Michael who came on board. He did all the graphic design work for the Great eCourse Adventure, and really talented guy, amazing. Yeah. He's also an animator. So we started chatting about the potential of animating this swamp monster named Gil, who's going to not let you pass until you can prove to him that you've validated your idea.
So let's check it out.
All right, so let's get screen
I
share.
haven't watched Gil for a little while here.
I know, right? It's been a while. Making sure that, okay, let's see if this works.
God, this is so gross. Oh, I think I just got a frog in my boot. There's something swimming around in there. Yeah, me too. Oh. Well, everybody, we're
I like the
almost
swamp
at
music.
Camp Medius, and once we get there, you're going to be able to get into the whole filming and production of all of it. It's going to be smooth sailing. It's just right outside of the swamp. We're almost there. Smell something? Oh, who are you?
Hey guys, I'm Gil Rosenberg. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Gil. Gil Rosenberg.
Yeah, sorry, but I can't let you pass.
Well, what do you mean? We're just trying to get up to Launch Summit to launch the greatest eCourse ever.
I know, but you're not ready.
What do you mean we're not ready? We got our ideas. Like we're ready for Camp Medius. We're ready.
Look, I don't want you to embarrass yourself. You have all this passion and these great ideas, but you need to see if people want them. You know what I mean? It's called validation.
Like we need to
Sparkle.
test our ideas on real people to make sure we're not just crazy and think we have a great idea and then try and sell it and nobody wants it. Oh,
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Look, man, I've made over 100 e-courses, but I'll tell you what, from all those e-courses I learned that you have to share them with people that you care about to see if they work. So you don't embarrass yourself. I want you to take on this challenge. And why don't you two little Earth human people explain how to do it?
So what you're saying is we gotta go validate our idea.
Yeah, that's what I said. What do you think I said?
No, that was
Okay, so
That's entertaining. I could watch that.
Oh my gosh, it was absolutely hilarious the day that we actually shot that in the studio. So Michael Mann, him and I did a lot of improv together, and he's also the same guy who plays Duber in the Camp Media series.
Yeah.
And so he had a very loose script outline, and he added in the burp and fart sounds at his own accord afterwards in post-production.
Yeah.
But basically, like, the way we did it is we figured out how tall Gil was going to be. And we had a light fixture up on the ceiling that Andy and I had to look at when we were talking to him to kind of make it look like we were looking up at his eyes.
Totally. And we actually, at the time, also brought, I think we had Michael just off screen. So the conversation was live between, Brad, Andy, and Michael. So I think he was standing on a chair just to help the visual.
Yeah.
He was taller than everybody.
Yeah.
And and we just kind of had that where we also had a microphone in front of Michael too, so the conversation was being recorded, so therefore he could animate and had that sort of live flow that you would with a character.
And then the where we're trudging through the swamp, we were just kind of walking in one spot like this, and then we just sort of animated the background to move with us.
Yeah, we definitely had to do a few takes of that to make it look real. I don't have the green screen footage at this point. My hard drive isn't working right now.
Uh-oh.
So
Don't tell me that.
I'll fix it. Yeah.
So with that one, I mean, when we made it, it kind of felt like if any of you have ever seen the movie Who Framed Roger Rabbit, when it was one of the first movies I ever saw that was
the mix between animation and real
real
life.
world. Yeah.
It's amazing what they've created.
Oh man, that movie was monumental, like as far as like what was possible.
If
in
you
the world
haven't
of
watched
film.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit, by all means, make that a movie night to do this week.
I actually want to watch it again. That was one of my favorites growing up.
Yeah.
So anything else? Like, as you could see with the background sounds, you could hear the mud sound. You could hear, kind of the hillbilly music because we're on our way to Camp Medius and we're, in the middle of the swamp.
Yeah.
Just for humor's sake and to match the vibe of this like stinky swamp monster, there's fart and burp jokes in there, which is also a part of Michael Mann's characteristics. We actually, that was not stuff our creativity did not say, hey Michael, could you add like some more fart sounds in
Yeah,
here?
we actually toned that down, to be honest.
From the original we did.
Yeah. So but he wouldn't stop. It was just part of his character, and so we decided just to go with it. And again, a big part of creating the media is keeping it entertaining.
Yeah.
A few things, because these were ones that Michael put together. We pretty much gave him the footage, and I would just say, the music at the beginning was a little loud. So when you're putting music in, you have to ask yourself, because if you know what you're saying and any characters that are on, in your lesson are going to be saying, we're already biased to understanding that compared to someone that's watching it for the first time. And music is there just to color and flavor, but if you add too much flavor to a dish, it could actually disrupt it. So a little cooking analogy. So that was a very strong flavor. The music was nice. But once Brad and Andy started talking, I found it was a little challenging to still hear what you guys were saying. It did tone down there at the end, but I just wanted to point that out because these are, again, just some of the specifics to creating really good media that we take for granted.
Yeah. So that's about it for
that's how we did
So, folks, if you're not climbing the mountain with us at the Great eCourse Adventure, obviously you can tell we like to have fun. We want to do high quality work, world class work that helps you shine as the professional in your field. so that you stand out and get noticed, and
Yep.
so that you inspire students to actually take action and
All the
transform
while
their lives.
making you laugh and have fun and keeping it fresh while we go up the mountain together. That's a big part of our philosophy.
If you have any feedback about today's show or about any of the courses that you're in of ours, let us know. And next week, we'll be right back here at 12 noon Pacific time, and we'll have an exciting new guest who is also from the mountain.
Yeah.
So, Jonathan, thank you for being our first of the Mountaineers to come on the show. You can check out Jonathan at jsstewartmusic.com.
See you later, everybody.
Thanks a lot, folks.